And welcome back, everyone, to episode 53 of the Sports Coach Podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm about to be alongside my co-host, Vince. Unfortunately, we ran out of time to film the intro, so this is our makeshift intro for now, and we're about to pop it over to our special guest, Mike Janela. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us again. All right, and now we're back, joined by Met Stadium host Mike Janela. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on with us. He has done a lot of work in the sports industry. He's got to interview some really cool people, which we're going to talk about. And, of course, the Mets have had a crazy season so far, so we definitely have a lot to talk about with him there. So that's really cool, and thank you again for coming on with us.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. It's great to chat with you and to be on. So thanks for asking me to come on the show.
Yeah, of course. And, we've – again, Mets, crazy season. We'll get to that in a bit, and I know that you've had some fun experiences there, as you've seen from some of your Instagram posts, so there'll definitely be some fun conversations. But Vince, take it away.
Well, first we need to mention some of your career stops and cool moments, starting with being a contestant on Jeopardy! You mentioned on your Instagram that you were a medium loser. Can you tell us more about that experience?
Yeah, medium loser just means I didn't win, but I didn't come in third. I ended up in second. So, the Olympics are going on now, silver medal, people take that. No, so it was, literally an experience of a lifetime, and I don't use that as hyperbole because I've watched Jeopardy! Since I was as old as I can remember, since I was like 3. My parents, my grandparents, every night at dinner, we would watch that like a lot of Americans do. It comes on 7 o'clock, you eat dinner, you got Alex Trebek in the background. And then it was something since I was a kid, I always either wanted to host Jeopardy! Or be on Jeopardy! And, the jury's still out on if I ever get to host it, but at least I could get to be on it. And I was always watching it as I grew older, kind of like game tape. Like, I guess you would imagine like a high school prospect watches an NBA game as if to say, oh man, how would I guard LeBron if I make it to the league one day? And that's how I always watch Jeopardy! Kind of studying, all right, what are the patterns of the questions? What kind of categories do they like to focus on? What would I do how would I wager on daily doubles if I ever made the show? And then during COVID, I took the Anytime test, which they offer, and I did well enough there. Then they make you do a second round of tests online, which I did. And then I did a Zoom production call with the casting producer, me and like 9 other people. And they just wanted to know about my personality. We played a little bit of fake gameplay against each other on Zoom to make sure that I wasn't, BSing all my tests that I had taken, that I actually kind of knew the stuff I said I knew. And then they called me up and said, hey, you're in the list, which could mean nothing. Some people stay on the contestant list for years and never get called onto the show. But about 4 or 6 months later, they emailed me or called me, hey, do you want to be on the show? Can you come out to California in 3 weeks? And I said, absolutely, fire it up. So it was a lifelong dream come true. Unfortunately, Alex Trebek had passed away. He was one of my broadcasting heroes as well, someone that inspired me to get into this business. But I got to meet him. That's a separate story previously, so that was great. But finally getting to the show, and then I got curb stomped. I went up against Mateo Roach, and they ended up being one of the greatest Jeopardy! Champions of all time. They won, I think, 23 or 24 games in a row.
20-something
I was
crazy.
Yeah. And then Matea's gone on to be in the Tournament of Champions and the Masters League, and they come back every single time Jeopardy! Does a greatest of all time tournament. And I think I was game number 3 in Matea's run, so we didn't know the monster that was being born yet, but they ended up dominating. And the other contestant, her name was Reagan, also crushed me. So even though I finished second, I was in a distant third pretty much the whole time. It's all the reaction. It's all how fast you can buzz the buzzer. And I was an old man against 2 people that were 19 and 23. And I felt like, that baseball player that just can't catch up with 100-mile-an-hour heat anymore. So I knew my stuff, but I just couldn't get it in fast enough. And I humbly accepted my second place finish with the way that it worked out in the end. There was a baseball category, and I got those right. So I was happy about that. But otherwise, it was just a really great experience, one I'll treasure forever. And being able to have that video and have Johnny Gilbert announce, Mike Janela, our next contestant. It's literally a top, 3 to 5 moment of my life, considering what it meant for me. And it was just, really cool thing I'll never forget.
Yeah, of course. But on the opposite side, you were also on ABC's The $100,000 Pyramid, and you actually set a record on that show, right?
Now we're talking. Let's stop talking about me losing stuff. Let's keep talking about me winning stuff. So that was a long time. That was back in 2018. And yeah, they brought back the $100,000 Pyramid, which was a game show from way back in the day in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s. And yeah, I went on and I smoked my competition. I forget her name now, but yeah, I won everything you could win on that show. There's up to $150,000, and I won all that. And then there's a vacation you can win as kind of a bonus, and I won that also. And I was the first person to ever do that in the history of the show, kind of sweep the Triple Crown. A couple people have done it since, but it's always good to be the first. So that was great. Helped set me up for a long time when I was unemployed for like a year and I had no money coming in. So that was dope. And again, another memory. I love game shows. So the fact I could go on one and, you know, hug Michael Strahan and win six figures. I mean, bro, incredible memory.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you really like game shows then, from what we're seeing. You've made the attempt to
Love
get
them,
into
yeah.
these two. Yeah. So that's awesome, and that's kind of just really cool moments that you've had. Actually, here's another cool moment. So you worked with the Padres on a show, Padres Social Hour, and during your tenure, you interviewed legends such as Mark McGwire and Snoop Dogg. So how did this being part of the show help further your career?
It was my first ever job where I was on TV, like officially on TV. I've been doing a lot of digital stuff on YouTube or on different companies' websites and stuff like that. But growing up, I grew up before social media. You know, Facebook, kind of the first one came out, MySpace when I was in like late high school, early college. So growing up, my dream was always to be a sportscaster on TV. I wanted to be on ESPN or on Fox Sports or things like that. So that was the first time that I had the opportunity, not as a guest or, you know, as, because I used to work for like Guinness World Records and I would be on TV,
Yeah.
but as, oh, Mike is here to judge a record. This was the first time that I had the chance to say, no, this is my show. I'm hosting it. You're the guest. You know, for me, I get to, you know, work my producers and think of what our content's going to be. And it was literally on cable TV. Like you'd be able to go to a sports bar in San Diego and they would have my show up on all the TV screens before the Padres game while people are out at happy hour. And for me, that was wow. Like not I've made it, but this is the first step, to making it kind of moment for me. So it was something that I really cherished because it was a bit of a career checklist that I was able to, tick a box off of. And the fact that I got that job, a lot of what I do in this business and what you guys are going to learn as you get older, if you continue in sportscasting or media of any kind, it's all about who you know and being able to get connections and build relationships. But that job in particular, it was an open casting call. I was a guy working in New York City, grew up in New Jersey. I had no connection to San Diego or the Padres at all, but they wanted like a national kind of voice. They didn't want somebody local. So they opened it up to everybody coast to coast. And they told me after the fact, it was me against over 500 other applicants. And of all those 500 with who knows what kind of experience, they called me in to do a Final Four type audition. And so I made it past round one. I made it past round two. And they hired me. So that was a huge confidence boost for me at a time where I was kind of struggling with, is this the right career for me? To tell me, no, like you're legit. If these people liked you over 500 other people and they didn't know you from Adam going into this thing, you must be pretty good at what you do. So that was, in a small sense, or the micro sense, I should say, a real, all right, checklist off of a career goal of mine. But in the macro sense, it was reassurance that, okay, you're probably pretty good at this and you can make a career out of this moving forward. So that was, two things that job did for me. Plus I got to interview like Snoop Dogg and Rey Mysterio and Mark McGwire and Tom DeLonge and Ken Rosenthal and all these really cool people and these great experiences. So that was really a fun part of it too. And I got to live in San Diego, which incredible experience as well.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite guest?
Favorite guest from that show or from my life in general or any job?
Take either one.
From that show, my favorite was actually, and this is before your time, but we recorded it the same day as Snoop Dogg, but no one talks about it because Snoop Dogg is way more famous. But Mark Paul Gosselaar, he played Zach Morris on the original Saved by the Bell and in the new reboot that they had on Peacock a couple years ago. But as a kid, Saved by the Bell for me was like the show, and Zach Morris was the coolest guy. So if you have any listeners who are of a certain age, that's going to really ring a bell. And he was the nicest guy and was cool with talking about Saved by the Bell stuff, even though it was 30 years old at that point. So he was great there in the Padres job in particular. In general, probably, I mean, Alex Trebek, I mentioned earlier, I got to interview him when I was working with Guinness World Records, just to meet someone that inspired me to do what I've been able to make a career out of was incredible. David Wright is up there. One of my favorite Mets, probably him and Mike Piazza, the top two of all time for me. I've been able to interview them both, so that was really awesome also. But yeah, it's been a lot. I mean, LeBron James. I've done a bunch of wrestlers. LA Knight, the stuff we did with him at the Mets game last year from WWE, Lifetime highlights. So I've been lucky and blessed to be able to say I've got a lot of answers to that question.
Yeah, casually dropping.
Yeah, just a name drop. Yeah, me and LeBron, we had a good time catching up together.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. And it's cool that was interviewing something you always wanted to really like do as part of, or was it hosting or interviewing? Was there one way that you really wanted to go?
Both, yeah. And it was, being on camera and interacting with people I've always enjoyed. So, yeah, interviewing, I love it because I can talk and talk and talk, but you're going to get bored of me. You're going to get bored of anybody. But for having someone else, even just talking to you guys, like humans are about interaction and social activity, right? So it's always great having somebody to bounce things off of. I love the challenge of them answering a question in a way that I'm not expecting. How do I deal with that? And it's just fun. It's how you bounce jokes off each other or have a good time. So any kind of hosting I really love, but interviewing or being with other people is really what I love most.
All right, Vince, now you take it away.
All right, good. Also, I just want to bring this out. I love LeBron.
Hey, nice. Dude, LeBron was the nicest guy, and I met him. It was the year they won their first championship with the Heat.
Oh yeah.
But it was that All-Star break, so they hadn't won it yet. So he was still like LeBron, yeah, with the good hairline. This is 12 years ago now at this point. But he was still LeBron that hadn't done it in the clutch yet, right? And everyone was like, oh, is he ever going to be an all-time player? He can't win the big one, whatever. And when I met him at the All-Star game, he came up to me and he was so chill and so relaxed. And it was me with all these NBA All-Stars around me, and I'm only 5'8", right? So I'm looking way out of place. And he actually came up to me and he goes, hey, man, nice to meet you. Like, he daps me up. What's your name? I said, Mike, nice to meet you. He goes, I'm LeBron. Like, yeah, I know who you are. And he goes, dog, we got to get you some phone books to stand on or a stepladder or something. Like, you're way too short out here. And I was like, all right. So if he's already, like, busted my balls a little bit, but like, laughing about it and everything, he's like, I'm just playing. I'm like, this is a cool guy. Like, taking the time to just talk to me like we're boys from back in the day. And then he won his first title later that year. So I'm the good luck charm that set LeBron on the rest of his career. So,
yeah,
so
actually,
you're welcome.
Hold on, I just want to stop you. I'm actually a Miami Heat fan up there, so.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So you're welcome too, man. I got you all those chips with LeBron and D-Wade down there after I loosened them up a little bit.
Well, I don't really like LeBron, though. Oh, God. After he left us, there's just something about him I don't really like.
Yeah, I hear you. That's sports these days, though, man. It's rarer and rarer to find someone that sticks around all the time. But I bet there's a lot of people in Cleveland who are happy that he did leave Miami to get that title back. So.
Yeah. All right, now I'll go. Oh, Jesus. As mentioned before, you now work with the Mets, who we'll get to in a moment, but also the American Kennel Club. Can you just tell us a bit about what you do there and some more things we know about the AKC?
Yeah, it's basically it's dogs, right? They're the ones who register breeds officially for dogs here in the U.S. and have the biggest national championship and have their own TV network and everything. So people love dogs, especially online. It's good internet content. So it's part of success in this industry. You can be someone like a Pat McAfee that lives in ESPN and does all stuff for ESPN and sports, or you can be someone that you pop up all over the place. And I guess Pat McAfee's a good example for that too, because he does wrestling all the time also. But unless you're someone that's like a Joe Buck, I guess is a better example, that's just with one network exclusively, you got to pop around and do stuff to make a living in this. Gary Cohen, who does play-by-play for the Mets, for example, does Seton Hall basketball in the offseason. So for me, when there's no baseball, when there's no other sports going on, AKC is a great place to work. I host a monthly show for them called Ask the Expert, where I talk to like dog psychiatrists or veterinarians or trainers to get people to learn things about how to raise their dogs better. I do a weekly segment on their weekly show, Good Dog TV, looking at like cool trending viral dog stuff and things like that. And I love dogs. Who doesn't? So it's just a fun, very different muscle to exercise than talking about Mets baseball or Knicks basketball or whatever else.
Are you a dog owner?
Oh yeah.
I'm not a dog owner. I used to be. We had two growing up. I can't in good mind have a dog with my work schedule. I'm gone many nights. I'm gone many hours. My wife has a crazy schedule too. We travel a lot, so I just wouldn't feel right having a dog here that I wouldn't be able to walk enough or feed enough. So we have a cat because cats take care of themselves basically. But I wish I could have a dog, but I get my fix working with dogs all the time instead.
I just wanted to ask a real quick question. You mentioned traveling, and I saw something on your Instagram post that you had like the Portugal kit all decked out. Can you give us like a little insight on that?
Yes, I'm Portuguese. I'm a dual citizen with the U.S. and Portugal. Have both passports. My dad was born there. My mom was born here in the U.S., but all of my grandparents are from Portugal. So the family tree going back, 1,000 years is from there. And yeah, it's been a cool thing for us as a family to be able to go for the last 12 years or so. We've made it a family trip every World Cup, every Euro Cup. We go wherever it is, and it's taken us to some really cool places. And yeah, we rock the jerseys, we rock the shorts, we rock the scarves, we rock where we can to just go and support the Seleção. And, we've had one European Championship win in that time. No World Cup yet, but it'll come. Yeah, it's a huge thing for my family and my culture. I love representing the fact that that's where we come from. And that's just something I love to, put on Front Street whenever I get the chance to.
We're going to go to the Mets, which I would call the fun stuff, at least at the moment. And of course, the main thing here to talk about would be the amazing Grimet's run in June. And going into Grimace's first pitch game, the Mets, of course, were struggling to find their footing in the young 2024 season, but magically the strike was thrown by the McDonald's mascot and seemed to give them a new spark. So what was this amazing run like to witness as a part, as the stadium host there?
It's great because it changes everything for everybody, and none of us knew it at the time. One of our, podcast hosts, his name's Vito, is a huge Grimace fan for some reason. Like has always been. I don't know why or what, but he'd been, working with McDonald's to get Grimace out there since last year, even, and it finally happened. And all of us thought, all right, this is a cool moment. Like everyone loves Grimace, everyone's taking selfies with him, great, and we won the game that night, awesome. But then they just keep winning, and people start wearing Grimace costumes to the stadium, and people start tagging them on Instagram, and it's like, wait, it's like there's something's going on here, and it like you said, turned the season around. So we've seen that before. 2019, the team didn't make the playoffs, but after the trade deadline, they had that big run. I think they won like 11 out of 12 or something like that. And I know we got some Yankees fans here on the show. We're not going to name them, but Yankees fans are used to winning. So when things go well, it's not that unique. But Mets fans, because we've gone through so much, and I say weeks, I've been a Mets fan, my whole life, ever since way before I was working for them. We've gone through a lot of struggles, more than maybe any other team, depending on the variety of struggles you want to talk about. And so when things are cooking, it's just different, man. I think we are just appreciate it more. We just go all in, more emotionally invested. We're ready to get hurt always. So when something as random as Grimace happens, we just ride the wave. And for me, being at the stadium every night, it's way different, right? An April Tuesday night game when it's 40 degrees outside is way different than a July game when it's 101. But the same way, when a team is struggling, it's way different than when a team is doing really well and everyone's coming out to the park to see what's going to happen next. And so that energy, that vibe, that feeling where everyone is on the edge of their seat, people are chanting, people are screaming, everyone's in a better mood. And that involves us as the staff, that involves the fans, that's the players, that's the coaches, it's everybody. So just giving that extra pep in your step when a team is winning is the best way to make the stadium experience better for everybody. And so for me, just dealing with fans, everyone's in a better mood. Everyone's happier to see me and like talk to me and do interviews with me and all that kind of stuff. So as a fan, it's been incredible to see them go on this run and get into playoff contention. And then as an employee, it's also great because it makes my job a lot more fun when everyone's there ready to have a good time.
I just want to ask a question. Were you familiar of Grimace before all this?
For sure. When I was a kid, before McDonald's kind of started doing all these Happy Meal deals with movies and cartoons, they had their own characters, right? So it was Ronald McDonald, it was the Hamburglar, it was Grimace. Those were the big three. So I knew Grimace since I was a little kid, but then it kind of went out of my life. It wasn't like I was keeping up with Grimace on the daily. And I know last year they had the Grimace Shake come out, and that kind of went
Oh
viral
yeah.
on TikTok and all that. So once that happened and that popped off, then Grimace kind of came back into my mind space. And then that's when I think the wheel started getting in motion for him to show up at the Mets one day. And it took a little while, but now he's back, and I don't think anyone's ever going to forget him after this.
The trade deadline was also recently, and the Mets made a host of moves, bringing in some new talent to Queens. One of these new talents being star outfielder and a comeback year Jesse Winker. How has this move already affected this Mets team, and how much of an impact do you think he will make in the future?
Well, it's hard to take his move in a vacuum with how it's impacted the team because you got to look at how it fits together with everything else. It helps patch up a hole while Starling Marte is injured. It helps add some more depth and give some guys some days off because now you have a bigger outfield rotation you can move around on. I think he brings a great personality. His production maybe out of the gate isn't what people were hoping for, but I mean, we're human. This guy just, shifted teams, shifted cities, shifted teammates. So I think his adjustment period's out of the way. I think he's going to be a huge boon the rest of the year down the stretch. And I think personality-wise, it seems like he fits in a lot with this group of guys. They just all seem to have that kind of same personality, just ready to get out there and lace up and do the damn thing. So all the moves in general, I think will hopefully the most important ones will be on the pitching side. I think the Mets offense has been fine, but we'll see how those go. But he's a guy who's in the middle of a great season, like you said, a big comeback resurgent season. So you can never have enough bats. You can never have enough arms, especially when you're trying to make a playoffs. But I was happy with the deadline. I think David Stearns has a long-term plan. He didn't want to deal top-shelf prospects and overpay for anything this year. The Mets said last offseason, we want to be in postseason contention. That's our goal for this upcoming year while building a bigger bridge to a much more sustainable and brighter future. And I think they 10 out of 10 did that at the trade deadline. So I'm excited to see where the last 2 months of the season go.
Yeah, so you mentioned a long-term deal. Is Pete Alonso included in that long-term deal, do you think?
I love to see Pete stay just from the side that he's a homegrown star and he's someone that has embraced the New Yorkness of it, doing all the home run derbies, doing commercials, working with Tunnel to Towers, doing charity stuff, showing up at schools around here. And the fact that he is not a New York guy, right, from Florida, but he's kind of made this city his own. We always love, I don't care what team you root for in what sport in this city, if you have a guy that comes up through the farm system, whether it's Derek Jeter or Aaron Judge or it's David Wright or someone that's been there, like Michael Strahan with the Giants was there as a lifer. Like when you're here from the beginning, there's just a special place for you in the pantheon of New York athletes that we adore. So from that perspective, I'd love to see Pete stay, but it's going to be up to him and it's going to be up to the front office whether he wants to stay, whether the production's right, whether the money's right. And I'm like you guys, I'm just sitting back and watching. I have no inside info. I have no prediction of what's going to happen. So just see how it plays out and hope for the best for both sides.
Yeah, of course. So in the past few years, the Mets have had a common enemy in the standings in the Atlanta Braves. And with the Braves having a much stronger start to the season this year, they jumped ahead early in 2024. But now the Mets, as of yesterday, were just half a game back. And there is a chance for them to get into a wild card spot now. To put this question simply, do you think the Mets have what it takes to finish ahead of the Braves when the season ends?
Absolutely. And I think as we're talking now, they played late last night. The Mets actually leapfrogged them in the standings. So as of right now, the Braves are on the outside looking in. And why not? The Mets, they have a brutal end of the season schedule. They got the Phillies still a bunch of times. The Orioles they have coming up. So it's going to be a make or break stretch, I think, from now until they play, I think, the Orioles. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but they have 7 out west, Diamondbacks and Padres. And those are going to be the 2 teams that I think right now are ahead of them in the wild card. So I think those 7 games are going to tell us how this season's going to go. But do they have what it takes? Absolutely. Their offense is the best in baseball, probably, the last 2 months since the beginning of June. The starting pitching has been there. It's been good enough. And can the relievers hold up their end of the bargain? We'll see. But they've definitely got all the pieces. They have the talent there. So can they do it? Absolutely. Will they? I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah. And I mean, Albies is obviously not playing with the Braves right now. Currently, he's going to be out for a couple weeks. I mean, this is the time. If you want to get above them in the standings, this is the time to do it. So,
yeah, I tweeted this the other day. This is the time to get fat. And unfortunately, dropping 2 at the Angels wasn't great. But You win 2 at Colorado. That's what you do. What you have to do. They snuck a win in there at the Cardinals. So beat the teams you have to beat. They have the Mariners, which coming up, which is a solid series. I don't know when this episode's gonna come out, but they have the A's. They have the Marlins. So teams you can beat that are coming up, and you're gonna have to beat them. I think the White Sox even. So you got to play these teams, and you got to get a lot of those wins because once the Braves get healthier, and if they get hot, and then you start playing teams like Baltimore and Philadelphia, those you're going to have to earn. So try and bank as many wins. Every win counts the same at the end of 162. So you're right, and hopefully they take advantage of this good part of the schedule.
What was the best moment or in-game production giveaway you've seen at Citi Field during your time as the game day host?
My favorite was I alluded to earlier. My favorite moment at Citi Field was my evening with LA Knight. I don't know if you guys are pro wrestling fans, but he's a huge WWE superstar, and he came and it was WWE night, so we had a lot of that kind of promo stuff going on. And most wrestlers that come, they'll do an interview before the game, they'll throw out the first pitch. They're all really nice, but he was down to do something with me all night long. And every couple innings, he'd come back, and we kind of had like a little feud, like we were doing a wrestling program. And it was great that he was able and willing to play ball with us all night long. And he did not have to give us that much effort or that much time commitment, but he did. And I was a huge fan. I became an even bigger fan of his. And to see him now as the United States champion just beat Logan Paul at SummerSlam is really cool. So for me to kind of live out my dreams to be a professional wrestler in a way was something I'll never forget. So that was my favorite sort of in-game moment or thing that we've done there in my time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you have time to do a quick immaculate grid?
Yeah, let's fire it away. Now we're talking. Now
All
I see
right.
it.
Here we go. Immaculate grid. Anything you see right out the gate?
Boy. All right. Yeah, Braves and Rangers. Let's go. When you're doing this on your own, like when you're just drinking your coffee in the morning, it's way more chill. When you're here live, it's a little bit different. Let's see. Man. All right, 300 average hitting season batting, Braves. Let's go Acuna
Okay.
for square number 2 there.
There you go. All right, one down.
That should be nice and easy. Yeah. All right, 300 home runs career batting. Let's go Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones, if this loads. I mean, obviously that's that's right.
All right. Boston Red Sox 300 average season. Let's go with Manny Ramirez. And you'll notice a theme. I think everyone does this with Immaculate Grid. You always go for like the players that were hot when you were in high school because that's when you were watching the most. 300 career home runs. Boston. Let's go old school. Ted Williams.
All right,
Oh.
there you go.
Like that pick.
I mean, the splendid splinter, man. You can't go wrong. Anything Boston, he's probably going to be a good answer for you. First round draft pick, 300 homers, Ken Griffey Jr.
Yep, there we go.
I don't even know when the draft started because I'm trying to think like first round draft picks who hit 300. I could go way back a long ways, but
I mean,
I don't know when the draft technically began.
I know one here that I would put,
Yeah, is the jersey standing behind you? No, I don't know. Aaron Judge wasn't a first round pick, I don't think, was he?
Yes, he was. He was.
Well, he was drafted
30th.
twice.
Well, he was drafted twice. But second time, he was the 30th pick. So.
Right. Also, all right, fine. You know what? Then I'll throw you a bone. Let's go. Let's put Aaron Judge in there.
All right. I was gonna say the other guy you could have gone with. The other guy you could have gone with is right here. Another Yankee.
A-Rod? Yeah.
A-Rod or Gio.
All right. Yeah, here we go. All right, so Braves and Rangers. I'm pretty sure Mark Teixeira played for both, I think, right? I don't know why he's the first guy that's coming to my mind. That's the one I was thinking of,
yeah. There you go. All right.
Okay. That's all right, good. I'm glad we got – all right, beautiful. All right, now we're getting to the nitty-gritty here. Let's see. Red Sox and Rangers.
That I know you would know.
Is it a recent one?
Yes. Yeah.
That I would know, huh? Hmm.
You just kind of have
All
to
right, well,
think.
give me the assist. Why don't you take this one?
All right.
Oh,
All right, go Nathan Evaldi. Okay, yeah.
oh,
See,
that's a good one.
that is a good one. See, my problem is I don't think about the more recent guys. 'Cause I think, oh, Immaculate Grid, you got to think about way back in the day. But you're more tuned in
Yeah.
to currently, so that's well done. All right, first round draft pick, Texas Rangers. Man, they haven't had many like homegrown guys. A lot of their guys had always come when they were bigger. Was Pudge? Was he a first round pick for them? No,
Oh
they probably signed him as a free agent.
no, I don't
Um,
believe he was.
yeah, I think they've signed him as a minor league free agent. Let's go with what about Josh Hamilton? I think he was first round pick. Then he had his struggles. Then he was like the big comeback story.
Beautiful,
Hey, beautiful,
beautiful.
good
Well,
stuff. Hey man, couldn't have done it without your Nathan Eovaldi assist. So appreciate you.
I'm sure you could have gotten something at some point, but yeah.
I just wanted to be quick for the show, and I don't want this to drag on too long. Then it's
So,
not entertaining. So I would have gotten it with time, but it could have taken me maybe an hour.
okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with us. Thank you so much for playing Immaculate Grid with us. And I hate to say it, but I think good luck to the Mets this season. They have a lot going for them right now, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun hanging out with them for the next couple months. So that's really cool. And thank you again for coming on with us.
Hold on,
Should be out.
I can't do this. I can't hide the fact. I'm actually a
Oh,
Marlins
Vince.
fan in disguise. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, Vince
Can't do it.
is coming in
Sorry.
at the buzzer, doing a wardrobe change.
Listen,
I mean-
I'm on and off with the Marlins recently, but this thing won't go. Yeah, I'm on and off with the Marlins recently in history, but
Well, hey,
Jeter
man,
threw away the whole team, and yeah.
the Marlins aren't going to have any competitive baseball to play for the next 18 months at least. So you can jump on the Mets bandwagon in the meantime. We'll take you.
I'll jump on the Yankees. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Now, guys, appreciate the time. It's really cool to see the next generation kind of doing this stuff already, and you guys were awesome to talk to. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. See you.